Hello and welcome to the Customer Success Playbook Podcast, where we're passionate about elevating your customer success game. I'm Roman Schrieblein, joined by my co-host Kevin Metzger. Don't forget, for a deep dive into our past episodes, videos, articles, and more, head over to CustomerSuccessPlaybook.ai. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. We're committed to bringing you the latest insights and expertise from the industry's best minds. Kev, how you doing today?
Doing great, Roman. Excited. It's the end of March. Big time.
End of March. We're in the middle of March, Kev. March Madness is just beginning. Don't get it over with too soon. I'm just, I'm still kind of, I'm still waiting. Football's over, and I was, wall for a little bit. Now we got a little basketball for a couple of weeks. Let's not move into April showers quite yet.
You're not ready for baseball yet? You're ready for the basketball?
I'm not ready for baseball. I know that. So. So Kev, we got a great show and topic today, don't we?
Yeah, we do. So Roman, in today's episode, we're going to talk about KPIs that are essential for gauging and guiding customer success. Through our conversation, we hope to uncover the nuances of selecting, implementing, and interpreting KPIs to foster better customer relationships and business outcomes. And to help us dive into this topic, we've got Chad Estes. And Chad, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Chad, guys. Good to be here.
Chad, really excited to have you. Chad is currently the EVP of Customer Success at Canvs.AI, where he leads a team responsible for onboarding, adoption, expansion, and retention for their innovative customer base. He brings over 25 years of experience leading customer success and product management teams for growth-size B2B SaaS companies focused on solutions such as text analytics, market research and social media, and financial operations. Chad brings a wealth of experience to our discussion on customer engagement and metrics. His passion for technology and efficiency, combined with his ability to translate complex concepts into simple terms, makes him an ideal guest to discuss KPIs for customer success. Chad, how are you today?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm glad Q1 is not over yet because I still have some numbers to hit. Yeah, it's exciting. Excited to have springtime in the air here in Atlanta.
Yeah, we were commenting before you joined just about the weather. Beautiful day out today. Chad, can you tell us a little bit about Canvs.AI and what you do there?
Yeah, sure. So I joined Canvs.AI about 5 months ago, around the same time as we brought in a new funding round under Fulcrum Equity Partners. And Canvs.AI is largely a text analytics solution. So our customers use Canvas to interpret and understand emotions, topics, and themes from high volumes of unstructured text. So this is anything from social media data sources to survey and market research related use cases. There's employee engagement use cases. Any scenario where customers have a lot of rich data that's buried in text and the volumes are just too high to get true insights out of it. And to understand the why behind a lot of the quantitative. So we're really we're providing a lot of speed to insight for the qualitative side of insight professionals.
Yeah, and I was looking at the demo before. It looks like a pretty cool tool and how you can really interact with the data and ask questions and all that. So we're excited. But today's topic is KPIs, and we wanted to start with kind of what are your 5 essential KPIs, looking at it from obviously customer success perspective?
Sure. Yeah. I did a little bit of thinking about this topic, and there's some top line KPIs that are important to any organization. Any B2B SaaS organization is the world that I live in, so I wanted to highlight on those. But I also had some that are kind of unique to our business that are a little bit more leading indicators that I want to highlight. Just to hopefully give the audience something to think about that's not just the standard stuff that everyone knows. So number one, because it's the number one number on everybody's mind, and that's what your board cares about, is your overall ARR as a company. So that's a company metric, but At the end of the day, it's the top line CS metric as well that lets everyone know if all the wheels are turning in the right direction, not just your existing customer base, but effectively, if you're not doing a good enough job with your existing customers, they're not telling the market that they're happy, and that's going to shrink your pipeline, and it's going to affect your new business as well. So overall ARR just has to matter most. It's the shining North Star for everyone in the company, CS included. Next is gross revenue retention. That's one of the top objectives for our company right now, is to improve that retention number. And the reason why gross is number 2 is because while net is important, and we'll get to net next, gross is your true indication of whether or not you're satisfying your customer base, right? You can't hide your gap in gross with expansion. It's literally a come to Jesus moment with, are your customers happy with what they originally bought? Yes or no, right? And you gotta face that true nature. Next is net.
Chad, real quick on gross, just for the audience. So keep me honest here. Is that churn MRR kind of plus downgrade MRR divided by your starting MRR? Is that how you guys are sort of defining that?
Correct. Yeah. So if you're looking at it in a percentage basis, it's what is within a defined period of time. Now, our business happens to operate on annual contracts, so we're an ARR based business. But yeah, gross is just, do you keep what you had? So it's what's the renewable revenue in any time period minus lost minus contraction divided by what the original renewable amount was, right? So the best you can possibly do in gross is 100%. You keep everything that you had. But we're striving as a business to average out at 90% per month. That's like a healthy SaaS business. And so next is net revenue retention, which is very similar to gross, but it's renewable minus lost minus churn plus expansion, then divided by what your original renewable amount is. And in general, as a business, you want your net to be 100% or higher. Like if you don't bring any new business at all in a particular time period, does your business shrink or grow? You want it to at least be 100%, and ideally a best-in-class SaaS business is 120% net revenue retention. And that's what we're shooting for. That's especially important in businesses where you might have a land and expand model. And you want to make sure that you are growing with your customers and your customers are satisfied enough overall to continue to buy more.
Yeah.
So, and I can give you a chance to go into your other metrics, or can I ask a question here?
Go for it, man.
So, as you look at your land and expand and your NRR and your and GRR, and as you're trying to ensure that you're growing, do you have metrics inside your business for your CS operators, right, for the data, for the CSMs, to help ensure that they're hitting targets that help ensure that those are growing?
Yeah, I mean, so along those lines, yes. I mean, like our CSMs actually have a variable comp plan, which is based on gross revenue retention and net revenue retention. So we're very intentional about aligning team member incentives with company objectives.
Yeah.
So absolutely. One other note I'll make about net is that expansion can happen one of two ways. One is renewal expansion. Do they renew or do they expand at the time of renewal versus a mid-cycle expansion? And if you're here in March and you have a customer that doesn't renew until June, but they upgrade in March, then that expansion counts in March. It doesn't count in June, right? It's when does the business recognize the expansion at that moment in time? Yeah. So the other two KPIs I wanted to highlight are are relevant to our business. So our business happens to be, we are annual contracts. We do have customers. We are a usage-based business. So our contracts are based on, well, how much text are you going to analyze? And it is based on a pre-committed amount. So you pay X amount of dollars for the year to analyze Y number of comments. So for us, because we have this pre-committed usage-based model that is based on tiers, how customers are pacing towards hitting that pre-committed amount over the year is very important to us, because it's an indication of, are they using us the amount that they expected to? And if they get to the end of the year and they didn't use us as much as they expected to, you're likely facing a contraction or a churn conversation versus an expansion conversation. We also look at it in, well, how did they pace during the first 3 months of their contract with us, which we just sort of define as the onboarding period. And we know through historical data, those customers that were on pace during their onboarding period are dramatically more likely to be on pace at the time of renewal and therefore be happy. So we are, or at least have that overall perceived value of, yes, they used it as much as they expected. And in an ideal world, they used it more than they expected, and we're having expansion conversations. We think about that pacing. We kind of put it into 3 buckets. It's are they below pace, on pace, or above pace? And above pace, we consider excellence. And so we look at this excellence rating, like what percentage of our customers in their onboarding period are above pace. And we have a lofty goal of wanting 75% of our customers to be an excellent pacing rating during that onboarding period, which we determine to be not just on pace where they're using what they expected, but they're 15% above what they expected. So we've deployed that this year to think more strategically about that. We've deployed our own usage dashboards to really, really look at where customers sit within those pacing categories, to determine who has moved between categories on a week-by-week basis, who is changing by how much. And we use that as a key indicator to say, hey, CSMs, let's go talk to these 5 customers this week that are renewing in Q3 because of where they sit on the pacing scale, which might differ from what our normal planned meeting cadence is, right? Like look at those really early warning systems to get that meeting, find out what's going on. Does the customer have non-optimal workflow that's holding things back? They maybe lose a team member that's not using the system as much, and that's what's causing them to not pace as expected. So instead of discovering those things just on the normal meeting cadence, like use this as a reason to reach out in a different time period.
Yeah, I love that. And Chad, I saw on the site, it looks like you guys have some different packages, right? Like onboarding and training is included across the board. It looks like if you're at a higher package, you get a dedicated CSM. I think, keep me honest here if anything is off here, right? Yep. I love the pacing. So it sounds like you guys have done some analysis, and if they're at pace or above pace early on in onboarding, that's a great sign for long-term. Curious as you do that analysis, are you able to find, is there differences in what's happening? Onboarding, just so you know, Chad, was our topic last month. So I'm going to pivot back a little bit because I'm still super interested in it. Yep. But I'm curious, from an onboarding perspective, I guess 2 questions. One, does that give you actionable insights? Has it been able to produce some actionable insights, say what's happening for ones that are off pace, and has that been able to drive some change? And curious if you have any specific KPIs on onboarding, like is it first value, first verbatims analyzed? Just curious how you measure maybe onboarding across the whole thing beyond maybe pacing.
Yeah, that's a good topic. Well, I'll say that we the maturity of our onboarding process is growing. We have within the last 5 months since I joined actually deployed a brand new milestone based implementation process where we are very specific about exactly how many meetings an onboarding process should be, what we cover on each milestone, in what order, what type of homework needs to happen for the customer in between each milestone. And we are more now explicitly tracking the exact duration of our onboarding periods. We are launching onboarding feedback surveys at the graduation point. We have a clear graduation point. So we haven't gotten to the point where with that new process, what level of additional metrics are we able to see, and how does that relate to the eventual renewal success? So not quite there yet, but we are.
Chad, you've been there 5 months, Chad. What's going on? You know?
Yeah, we're chipping away every week. We're getting a little bit better. Yeah, so we're looking at more data as we can. One of the bigger things that we've deployed, and this isn't really a KPI per se, but when it comes to usage, one of the things we've deployed recently is a use case planning framework. So basically, what makes up the planned usage when a customer bought, let's say, 100,000 verbatims with Canvas? Why did they buy 100,000? What were the use cases that went into saying, yep, I think we'll need this many because we're going to try these 3 different use cases, and this one is going to happen monthly, and the average size is going to be X. Are we doing a good job about tracking that internally, about sharing that information across AEs and CSMs, and that we understand what the original intention was? And over time, things will change. Whether or not you've added a new person to the team and they have a new use case, or someone that used to be on the team had your highest volume use case, but they've now left the company, so on and so forth. So we're using that to just drive the expected pacing conversations, but ideally also give us permission to have those conversations with the customers at account reviews, et cetera, to, number one, make sure they understand the full ROI, and then number two, give permission to open up conversations about upsells and cross-sells by establishing the framework early on.
Yeah.
And that has helped us with this latest cohort of customers to really stay on top of what was the original intention, why did you buy X, and then going back in earlier cycles to kind of really reconfirm that and see how things have changed.
Yeah. So Chad, you said the pricing model and the load model is around the data uploaded, right?
Yep.
So the value benefit of once the data is uploaded, the benefit of using it is the insights that you're getting from it. Do you have are you measuring against how they're looking at the data once it's uploaded and that kind of usage as well?
Yeah, that is a good question. We probably should look at like number of exports run, because a lot of times customers are running exports to get the data out. One of the KPIs that we've instituted this year, that is targeted at your point, which is, are they getting the insights out of the platform? One of the features that Canvas has launched earlier last year is a generative AI copilot within our product, where instead of looking at our sort of quantitative, topical, and emotional breakdowns on what does the data mean, you can now just ask your data what it means, and it will tell you in narrative format. And you can ask it custom questions. Or you can drill down into subsets of data and say, just give me the overview. So we are now looking at the percentage of our customers that ask custom business questions as a metric that we want to see improve over time, because it's an indicator they are getting insights out of the platform because they're asking it questions and they're getting answers.
And Chad, where does the team, like your team, where do they see the metrics? Do you guys have dashboards? Do you guys send out reports? Kind of, how do they know how they're tracking, and where's all this live?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have, we run on Amazon. A lot of our data sits on S3, and we have a business analyst internally that has pulled that data into one of 2 dashboards. We were using Looker for a while to interpret this, and so that we can filter down and dissect and look at different cohorts of customers. We started to kind of run into some limitations of Looker because it's good for quick and dirty, but at a certain point we kind created too many requirements for what we wanted to do. And now we're utilizing Tableau for that. My ideal state is that a lot of what we're doing in Tableau, we're actually going to be doing in a customer success platform, right? As customers come into and out of different segments, flagging them in certain ways, and then being able to execute planned playbooks against them, right? I see a customer in this data set. Well, what should I do now as a CSM? Well, you should do this 3-step process, which involves emailing the customer and an internal task to do this other thing. So right now we're a little bit disjointed on, I see a thing I need to do something about, and then what's the action I need to take? And I've been around the block to know if that's what a CSP is for. Yeah. So that's what's up next.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then just to finish out, the last KPI is also related to usage. And for us, it's usage automation. So Canvas is a data agnostic platform. You can bring your data from anywhere. You can import data in Excel or CSV, and it can come from social. It can come from surveys. It can come, we have our own social integrations, but it's not on every single different social media platform. So if you're importing data into our system, you can do anything, but you have to go through the manual import process. Versus if we have a native integration with some survey tools out there like Qualtrics or Decipher, we have on our strategic roadmap this year to build out other things. We're taking some of those social data sources in and automating it, whether or not it's on campaigns of social posts or every post on a social account. So we're looking at the percentage of data that's analyzed in our system automatically versus manually, which we know for our business is a big unlock to satisfying our customers on the pre-committed amount that they signed up for. The more that comes in automatically, the likelihood that they're going to use all that they intended to use goes up, and it's a healthier point for our business. So again, that's a leading indicator of likely customer value, getting the volumes they wanted.
Makes sense. As you go through the year, if you're hitting the excellent, right, where customers are using above what they require or what they were, is that just annual contract renewal that you adjust for that, or do you adjust for it throughout the year if they go above the annual commits?
Yeah, so it depends. The way it works for us is if a customer is coming up on their tier and they're using more than they expected and they realize, hey, we're going to need more, they can either top up and add more now and keep the same contract end date, or they could sign up for a new full period and reset the clock and sign up for a new 12 months. Because our business model is based on these number of verbatims, it's a volume play. The more that you pre-commit to up front, the better rate that you're going to get. And so if they sign up for a new 12-month commitment, that will, it's better for us as a business. It gives us staying power. And so the customer gets a better rate as a result. We're also using that as a leverage point to help us with something that impacts, I think, a lot of CS teams in the SaaS space, which is your renewal cohorts tend to follow the patterns of your sales team in previous years, meaning you have large amounts of renewals at the end of every quarter, and surprise, at the end of the year is the biggest mountain you have to face. So how do you smooth out the mountain is the question. And it's the same for us as most businesses. So this element of a customer pre-committing to a new 12 months mid-cycle is one of the main leverage points that we have to kind of reset renewal dates, right? Give the customer a financial incentive to reset the clock.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Chad, one metric I didn't hear, and I know you guys probably deal with marketing teams and people big into the CX space, right? If they're scouring social media sites and verbatim comments from Qualtrics, et cetera. What about NPS for you? We've had guests on, Chad, and it's ranged from NPS is completely useless to NPS is essential, right? So curious, I think you did talk about measuring feedback during the onboarding cycle. So I am curious kind of where NPS and or any customer sat metric kind of what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. I've seen it work at some companies. I've seen it not work at some companies. My previous chapter before here, we steered away from MPS. Now we were a much larger company. We're talking 2,000 plus customers, bordering on 50 million in ARR. And we were running MPS in different campaigns. And the numbers weren't 100% awesome and positive, but what we found is that if you're going to ask for customers' feedback, and if it's on the if it's not on the positive side and they're giving you feedback about your product, if you don't have the engineering cycles to address that feedback, then don't ask. Right?
Exactly. They're gonna do it. What's the point of asking? Might as well put it in the vacuum.
Actually, all you're doing is poking the bear, right? You're stirring the pot. You're saying, "Oh, remind me again why you're unhappy." Like, "Oh, thanks for that information. I'm gonna throw away." Now you've actually made the situation worse. So we steered away from it in that regard at my last company, and we did steer more towards. We were looking at CSAT on support tickets. And then we were looking at feedback, customer feedback at distinct points in the customer lifecycle. So we ran a feedback at the conclusion of onboarding. And then we also ran a feedback survey at the conclusion of any CSM account review mid-cycle. And in those feedbacks, we asked both the quant and the qual, to use my Canvas hat now. So specifically on specific elements, where do you sit on a scale of 0 to 10 when it comes to the overall company or the product itself or the people that you worked with or the process that you went through? Were your expectations met from the sales process? Like, that's a good one to ask at the conclusion of onboarding. Like, you get promised something and now you hear you're live. How'd that work out for you? Right. Those types of numerical insights are better than just one generic NPS score, which is everything all together. Right. Mm-hmm. Someone could give you a 5 overall in the company, but they really like the product, but they just had a terrible interaction with their onboarding person. Right. And it kind of soured the water for them, but they're actually really happy about the product, or vice versa. Right. I give your overall company a 7, the team, I give a 10, your product, 6. Right. So that personally, that's what I like about breaking that down, because those numbers feed different teams and tell them where they need to action. The other reason that I liked it was on the CSM survey. So at the conclusion of a account review, you're asking a few less questions. You're asking about their satisfaction, but you can just ask them, like, what is your likelihood to renew? Mm-hmm. Just like sales is like, go ask for the sales, CS can ask for the renewal. Yeah. And we would take that numerical value on likelihood to renew, and we would feed that into our customer success platform. When you think about overall health score, it could be based on data and usage and all those objective elements. But we would also say, well, what is human-based confirmation? What's the CSM score? What do we think the health is internally? And if you've asked them what their likelihood to renew is, that's the customer telling you. And those factors should be weighted heavily, not just, do I like your product? Might I recommend you? Might be a completely separate value than, am I planning to renew? So that's kind of where MPS can fall down. But so it's kind of a question of, is MPS great for B2B versus B2C? Some of it can deal with, like, what are your customer volumes? What's your average contract value? I can see the value of MPS in a B2C model where it's too difficult to get CSM scores on a broader customer base, and you have to have a one-to-many approach.
Yeah, no, I've not done the science on this, Chad, but I think if a customer says that they're very, very unlikely to renew, there's a good chance they may be at risk. So that's unscientific, but that's pretty good indication something may be happening there. You may want to look into, right?
Right.
It's a tough question. Kevin and I talked about it, right? Like, especially in the B2B world, you can send a bunch of surveys to someone. The person who signs the check, the big economic buyer, loves you, right? Couple day-to-day users maybe aren't super happy. What are you weighing them out? Like, it's super hard. That's where I like the way you segment it. I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, I was actually going to kind of say something similar. Just targeting the right question is really what's important. I thought you did a great job of explaining that. So, Chad, one of the questions we started asking last year, just about everybody on the show, is their thoughts on AI and where it's going. You're coming from a special place here with a focus on AI in your business, but how do you see it impacting customer success specifically, and how you run the organization, how you're able to grow the organization?
Sure. I'll give you a couple of kind of what I'm already seeing, the things that I'd like to see in the short term, and maybe some things I'd like to see in the longer term. One is like day-to-day tactical efficiency for your own team. A great example is in my previous company, we used Chorus and Gong as conversational intelligence tools. We're using Gong again at Canvs.AI, and they have some great generative AI capabilities already built in that at the conclusion of a call, it's going to give you an automatic summary of what was covered in that call, some key next steps that they heard about in that call, so that, number one, you can share that information with other people. You want to tell your boss, how did that call go? Boom, here's what we talked about, etc. Or if you're coming back and doing coaching and you just want to see what was covered, you don't have time to watch the whole call. The other cool thing is you can do simple things like say, hey, write me a follow-up email. Yeah. And it will, it's never going to be, we haven't seen it be perfect out of the gate, but it's a dramatic shortcut to get started and to tweak something. Yeah. And instead of, it taking you 20 to 30 minutes to write a follow-up email, now it takes you 10. Repeat that on 4 calls a day for the whole week, so on and so forth, and just driving that efficiency. That's huge. Also because if you are a CSM that's typically operating calls on your own, you might be trying to take notes, but if you're trying to lead a call and take notes, and I hope I captured everything, this really just kind of helps supplement the I missed capturing something. Yeah. So that's the first thing. The next thing that I'm sure a lot of people in CS see, a lot of CS leaders are not just responsible for the CSM function, but onboarding and customer support. And so AI with support has a huge potential to automatically answer a customer's question without it having to go to a physical agent to respond to it. But in order to do that, the ticket submission and the chatbot side of the product needs to work with the knowledge base side of the product so it knows how to answer that thing. Last year, of my previous company, we were a Zendesk shop. And at the time, even though Zendesk was promoting their AI capabilities pretty heavily, the reality is their support side did not talk to their knowledge base side, to the guide side yet, to automatically give responses. You could do assisted responses to certain customers, but you had to go in and pre-configure specific workflows on high volume use cases that you would thought would happen. It was kind of like it was focused more on the B2C side, where we know that 50% of the tickets we get are refund related. Therefore, create a workflow rule around refunds. Like, no. I just want the question to be asked and for you to scour my help site and automatically just do the thing. And so I haven't looked in a year, so I don't know if Zendesk finally got there, but there's obviously a lot of other support solutions out there. But that's a huge unlock to scale. That if done right can be really, really powerful for CS teams. The thing that I'd love to see, and like right now, I'm actually, as kind of hinted at earlier, I'm in the market for a customer success platform. Is I'd love to see AI assist CS leaders with analytics. So not just I'm going to ask a question, but kind of like tell me what question to ask. Or I can go look at my analytics dashboard, but where should I look? Like, what's changed over the last week? Which key metric am I changing has had a change with some sort of statistical significance that you think requires investigation and drill down, and maybe I should go look at this cohort of customers rather than just It's up to me to review and manipulate my dashboard on my own and dissect into cohorts or notice a spike in a trend line and investigate it myself. Like, guide me. So I'd love to see that.
Well, Chad, I think you put yourself on every customer success platform salesperson's list. So if you were already getting hit up with messages nonstop, I think after this you're going to have an influx of, hey, Chad, have you heard about our platform inquiries?
Yeah.
All right, Chad, this is awesome stuff. It's time for our rapid fire questions now. This is the hard stuff, right? So, all right, we'll start with this one. Early bird or night owl?
Night out, big time.
Night owl, big time. All right. What's one hobby you have outside of work that helps you unwind?
Play disc golf with my dogs, my Frisbee dogs.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. One place you'd want to travel where you have not already been?
A Mediterranean cruise.
Oh, nice. Okay. You have a favorite book or a book recommendation?
I do not. I'm admittedly not much of a book reader. So
all right. You got a song, maybe? You got a song, an artist to check out? What about the music side? No.
Yeah, high pressure jobs require some chilling out. So I'm a big Bob Marley fan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Did you see the movie yet?
I need to.
Yeah, it looks good. All right. Where can our audience find more about Canvs.AI?
Yeah, online at Canvs.AI is our home.
Awesome. And yeah, definitely check it out. They have a great little demo. You can see it right on the front page there, and it's a great site. So Chad, thanks so much for coming on. This has been an awesome conversation. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Chad.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Customer Success Playbook. We hope you found our conversation insightful and you have more clarity on KPIs and how you can incorporate those in your organization. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, comment, and share with your friends and colleagues. You can find us on LinkedIn, the Customer Success Playbook page, or at Roman Trevon and at Kevin Metzger. Connect, share your feedback on the show, give us suggestions on future topics and guests you would like us to have on. As always, thanks for listening.
Keep on playing.